Well, welcome back. I am so excited you are here with me today. Today, I get to sit down with Brittany McBean and we talk about the 3-step process she uses to teach what you know in order to build like and trust and convert followers into clients. Are you ready for this one? I know I am. Episode 88 starts right now. Hey there, welcome to the Lora Shipman Show. We hang out here weekly to talk about things like social media, entrepreneurship, marketing, tools, strategies, tips, and it all starts right now. Hey there, before we get started with this show, I just want to share my passion with you. I love teaching people just like you how to master social media for business, breaking it down into easy to consume and easy to execute steps so that you can see immediate results. So whether you want to start a social media consultancy or grow your brand's presence on social media, I can help. I can help you get started and master all the things that you need to know. So I want you to go over to my website. It is filled with resources, tools, tips, and courses. Visit lorashipman.com. That's LORA shipman.com to get all the goods. Now, you ready for the show? I know I am. Let's get started. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. I'm so excited because today I have Brittany McBean with me, and we are going to go through some things that I think people struggle with. But before I give away what we're talking about, I would love to have Brittany just say hello and introduce herself to us and let us know exactly what she does. Welcome to the show, Brittany.
Hi, thanks, Laura. Thanks. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm glad you're here too. So tell everybody who you are, what you do, a little bit about your business, that kind of thing.
Yeah, the fancy word is a digital marketing strategist. What that means is that I help busy, overwhelmed female entrepreneurs, usually moms, right? That's what we are, busy and overwhelmed. I help them master a simple and doable online marketing strategy so that they can make a full-time income with the limited hours that they have. I do that primarily through marketing strategies, copywriting, and social media strategy, but that's basically what I do.
So you'll do all sorts of different types of digital marketing, like you're just not in the social media space, so you might be in ads and blogging and content as well?
I don't do ads as much. I definitely focus on the social media marketing, but we know that that's not the end game. So, when it comes to the sales funnel and the email marketing, website copy, all of that as well, I try to help my clients see the overall big picture in their marketing strategy. But mainly what my clients are looking for and what we focus on is just building that confidence with that social media strategy and that social media content creation, which is kind of what we're going to talk a little bit about today.
Which is so great because I know that people get caught up in that. They probably don't know where to start with the content marketing on social media. And what I'm excited about today is you're going to break it down for us in a 3-step process to kind of teach what we know to build that like and trust. And then the cool part of that is really converting all of that into customers and clients, right?
Yeah. So that is really the number one question that I get is, what do I post? What do I share? What kind of content do I create? Even if we're talking, blogs or videos, but, what do I say? And there's a lot of answers to that question. There's a lot of ways you can approach it. But what I want to focus on is what I think most people underutilize and don't understand its effectiveness. And that is teaching what you know. And it's really funny because I find that my clients in the product-based industry don't understand how this applies to them. And my clients in the service-based industry are afraid or worried that they're going to give away so much information that they will lose their paying clients. And it's actually the exact opposite. So that's kind of what I wanted to walk through is like, how do we figure out what we know, figure out how to package it and teach it, and then how do we use that to build that know, like, and trust and create clients, have our readers and our followers turn into raving fans and turn into people who are dying to work with us because they trust us.
It's funny because I had this conversation with somebody I've met on Instagram, and we're in I'd say a mastermind together. And she was struggling with this because she's a service-based business. And she was struggling with, I'm giving it all away for free. And I'm just I'm going to give myself away so I have no products or services to sell later on. And I'm loving that you're going to tackle the product-based side of this as well, because I see so many people who have a product that they're trying to, convert into sales, and they just get so salesy. So I'm hoping that we're going to have some strategies here where they're not going to be like just sell, sell, sell all the time. So I'm excited to get into this.
Yes, so this is actually my second business. My first business was an MLM business. I was really successful in that, had a really large team, and that was a product-based business. So that's where I kind of learned this technique and then have continued to hone it and fine-tune it as a service provider, as a consultant. So it's kind of fun seeing both sides, and the tactics or maybe the reason behind it is different, but the skill is the same. So I think that this will be able to apply to both of those industries.
And I love that you have experience in both sides. So people listen up, because this is going to help you guys tremendously. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into it. You're going to take us through a 3-step process. So do you want to start with step number 1?
So yeah, Laura, I think that so many times, like, we have this kind of zone of genius, this thing that we're really good at, that we just don't understand either how to communicate or why to communicate. So it's really important that we need to help our readers, our listeners, our audience understand what they don't know. Because so many times, if we don't know what we don't know, we may not see the value in what somebody else has to offer. So by constantly educating and teaching, you're kind of creating an awareness, and you're bringing your audience on an awareness journey of what you do or what you offer. So that's one really important thing, is that when we are constantly teaching and sharing, we're creating that awareness. We're helping them understand what they don't know so that they can see a greater value. So just for a really quick example, I like to teach by examples. I think that's really important, because I learn by stories and by example. And so I'll use my own business. If someone is just using Instagram for their business for the very first time, and all they really know about Instagram is that you post pictures and write some words, right? They may not even understand the importance of a social media strategy. But if I start breaking down a social media strategy, an Instagram strategy, why it's valuable, then they all of a sudden understand, I don't have a strategy. I need a strategy. She can help me get a strategy. So, and even with a product, somebody doesn't see a reason or a purpose for something, they may not see their need for it. So when we teach, we create that awareness and that need. That's one really important reason. Another important reason is that when we educate and we create value, we can begin to knock down those objections that would prevent someone from hiring us or paying us for our product. So someone might say to me, I don't have the money in my budget to hire a strategist or a copywriter, or I don't have time for a marketing strategy. I can barely run my own business. But if I can say, hey, these strategies are effective at raising your profit, or it's going to take you this much longer to figure all of this out on your own, but if we work together, I'm going to save you hours and hours and hours. And by that, saving dollars and dollars, they're going to see a value. So we start to knock down those objectives when we teach. And then the last and most important thing that we kind of talked about was that it builds trust, especially like a lot of women in the MLM world, for example. Let's think of this, because I think I love the MLM world, and it's also so hard in so many ways, because you are essentially doing the same thing as thousands, if not millions, of other people. And a lot of times in that industry, people start at a place of distrust. So I think if you can be successful in that industry, you can be successful anywhere. So let's talk about that for a minute. If you're doing the same thing as 1,000 other people on social media, how is someone going to choose you over someone else that sells your product? Well, if you're teaching them how to use the product, why the product would be necessary, how it helps them, how it can benefit them, giving them the confidence to use it quickly, easily, whatever that thing is, then they're going to say, okay, I could buy this product from this person, this person, this person, this person. But if she's going to teach me how to use it, and I know that if there's a problem, I can go to her, and I know that she's not going to oversell me because she understands these products, or she's going to know exactly what I need, then we're building that trust, and people are going to jump at the chance to work with you when they're like, she knows what she's talking about. I have this precious dollar that I worked so hard for. I know I can trust her with my money. So the more we teach, the more we build that trust, the more we create those followers. So hopefully I have your people like bought in. We're ready. We're ready to do this. And the one thing we talked about, the biggest thing that service providers specifically worry about, is that if we give it all away, we're going to lose our clients, right? Because they're just going to run off and do this thing for free. Okay, they won't. First of all, that is not how people work. People people get transformations through the things that they pay for. So I could give you a $1,000 course for free and you would not complete it because that's not how psychology works. That's not how we work. So it is really important to know that people, there's a marketer that says people that pay attention, right? So no matter what you give away for free, if people aren't paying you for your service, they're probably not getting that transformation. Therefore, they still have a need for your service. But Amy Porterfield, who is like the marketing goddess of the world, right? She says, and I love this so much, nobody says it better than her. She says that your free information are the tips and the tricks, but your paid information is the roadmap. So I can give you social media tips all day long. I can teach you how to post, what to include, how to use your hashtags, how to write a good caption, all of this. But if we're not sitting down and figuring out one-on-one your brand voice, your ideal client, your actual strategy, and walking you through step A to Z, you're not really going to see the transformation that you would get just from those tips and tricks. So I want your service providers to just take a deep breath and say, no matter what I give away, people are not going to be able to package it all together in the way that they would if they were working for me, but they will now understand their need to work with me, and they will trust that I am the one to take them through that transformation.
I love that explanation because I think so many people forget about the roadmap. And especially if you're a service provider, you know what that roadmap is, that it's almost so common, like the back of your hand, that like for you, it's like in plain sight. But for the people that you're working with, it's confusing and they don't know what comes first and they don't know how to attack one thing versus another thing. So I think that roadmap is so critical to understanding why it's okay to give stuff away for free, because they're not going to be able to figure it out on their own. And I think there's also like a level of accountability too, because when somebody purchases something from you, like you said before, what did you say that one quote was? Oh my
People
God.
that pay attention.
Yes.
I cannot remember where I heard that, but it just is locked in my head because it's so true.
It is, because now you've given some like dollar value to whatever it is, and you're going to make sure you squeeze every cent out of whatever it is you paid for. So I think that's key. Well, I'm excited. So how the heck do we do this?
Okay, let's get into it. And one of the things that you said that I think is so important, because you said that this seems so natural and easy to us. We always assume that the things that we're good at come easy to everyone. And so one thing you need to lock into your brain is that your zone of genius, what you're good at, is something that somebody else or most people are clueless. And I think that's such a great starting point, because we go, okay, well, what do I teach? And the answer is literally everything you know. Because everything you know is something that someone else does not know. And if you can learn how to teach it effectively, which is what I'm going to teach you, then you can gain that trust and that likability and those credit card numbers. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about how do we take our audience and serve them more. So let's get into it. These are my 3 steps to teach what you know, to become an expert educator and grow that like and trust and turn your followers into your clients. So number 1, it's simple. Listen. That's it. We're going to listen. So it sounds easy, but it takes a lot of practice. And it's okay if we have to practice these techniques, right? Things aren't just going to come to us right away. So you're going to listen, but there is a lot of reading between the lines. So one of the best places to start when you're figuring out what kind of educational content to create is to start with your FAQs, right? A lot of us have heard of this. What are the questions that you're consistently getting asked? So I always recommend just keeping a running bank. I like it to just anything that I have both on my phone and my computer. So wherever I am, an email comes in, a DM comes in, whether it's Evernote, a Google Doc, the note section of your phone, just whatever. But keep a running list of the questions you consistently get over and over again, and those become your content topics. However, just listening comes beyond just the questions that come in your inbox and your DMs, because sometimes people don't know what they're asking you, even if they're asking it. So your job is to read between the lines. So, example, if you sell makeup and customers or potential customers or people you're talking with constantly, they're saying things like, I just don't have time for makeup. They're not saying I don't have time for makeup. What they're saying is, I don't know how to do my makeup in a way that leaves me feeling beautiful and confident in less than 10 minutes, so I don't even try. So their question is, how do I do a 5-minute face that I really, really love. So now you're teaching them a 5 to 10 minute face.
That's
You just have to find the question in their
brilliant.
objection. So you're listening, but you're reading between the lines. So another example, I want to always do like the product and the service, that we're really seeing how this applies. So if you're a content marketing strategist, people might always say, I hear a lot, I just rather wing it. It feels better and more natural to me to wing it. What they're saying is, I'm afraid of the time that it would take to create a strategy, and I don't want to be put into a box that doesn't feel like me. So I know that they don't understand how a strategy works or how much it frees up your time to be creative in your zone of genius. So those are the things that I teach them: how to create a strategy, how does it not box you in, and how is that going to free up your time. So you're listening for your frequently asked questions and your objections that indicate that someone doesn't truly understand how valuable what you offer is.
Okay, so I've got a couple of questions there, because I know somebody's probably sitting there saying this, but I just started my business and I don't have any frequently asked questions yet, or or no one's talking. Like no one, so how do we get those created first? Like, how do we figure out what those questions are?
That is such a good question, because just being at the beginning is never a reason to not crush your business, right? Like,
okay.
You've got everything you need. You have. Okay. So number one is listen, right? We're just going to listen. We're going to read between the lines. We're going to hear their pain points, hear what they're asking. We're going to teach them back to them. Number two.
Wait, don't go there yet. Okay. Don't go there yet. Cause then so the answer.
So number two is answering your question. We can cut this out. So go ahead, finish what you were going to say, and then I'll answer it with number two.
Okay. So then my other question is, I really liked how you said to read between the lines and listen for the question. And the question I have is, what if you're not used to reading between the lines like that, and you don't know how to look for the question in everything in their objection? Like, I know it's in the objection, but do you have any like tricks or strategies how you can like flip that switch in your head to say, oh, that's what the question is here? Do you follow what I'm saying?
I do. That's a really, really good question. Okay. So like I said, this takes practice, right?
Yeah.
I think just one, being aware of what the objections are, and trusting that when someone is giving you an objection or any question that they're asking at all that just kind of indicates like that they're on the fence, maybe they don't see the value. I think we have to be in the practice of saying what is not clear to them. Okay, so that's what we'll say. What do they need to understand to beat this objection? And then maybe to keep asking ourselves or to ask them why. Like, what are the whys behind this? Okay, I don't do my makeup. Why? Because I don't have enough time. Why? Because I'm really busy. Why? Well, because all of the other makeup looks I've ever seen have taken too long. Right? So we keep asking that question until we get to the, oh, okay, you don't feel confident with a 5-minute face. I can give you a 5-minute face.
Okay, so I'm going to say, put your 2-year-old brain on and just keep asking the question why, like a 2-year-old would, right?
Yes, be your toddler. Be your toddler.
Be your toddler.
Just keep asking them or yourself why until you can really break down. So it's almost kind of being like a mini psychologist, like breaking down that objection and then switching your mindset so that when you hear pushback, objections, questions that maybe you feel like you've answered, you're just saying, okay, they don't have enough information. What information can I give them to help them see the value? And so that you're not having these essentially like arguments, right, with a potential customer or client, but you are putting this content out there to create that safety and that confidence in you before they even ask it. You're trying to find the questions that are in their heads before they even ask them, so that you're not going back and forth in a DM and saying, no, you really need this. You really need this. Because that's where it feels salesy, right? But if we can listen to their voice and know who they are, sometimes better than they know themselves, and we can like speak to those fears or those questions that they have in their head. And that's when they're scrolling and they're reading and they just like take that deep sigh of fresh air and they go, oh, she gets me. Like, I want what she has to offer because she knows me and I'm safe with her.
And that's the goal, right? Is to get your customer base or your audience base, that like for them to say, oh, she gets me. I mean, that's what I love. That's what I love. Okay. So now you're going to answer my first question. So go into that. So what do you do if you're just starting out?
Yeah, so you just started, maybe you don't have all those FAQs or you don't have a ton of experience explaining what you know or figuring out what to share. So we're going to hack it. So if you haven't served a lot of your ideal client, or maybe you've served clients, but they haven't been your ideal client and you really want to start marketing that or targeting that specific person, or your business is newer or you just don't know where to start. Okay, we have the internet. With the internet, everything is at your fingertips. So you can totally hack your ideal client's voice without a ton of experience with them. You have to go and to look at where they are asking the questions so that you know what answers to provide. So I'll give you a couple different options. Anybody who has some experience with SEO and doing keyword research, kind of that's basically all this is doing that hacking, that keyword hacking research. So you can go to Google. So let's say that you are a gosh, I'm trying to think of a different professional than what I've already used. Let's say you're a fitness coach. Okay. So get on Google and you start to type in how to get healthy or how to lose weight, and you're going to see that kind of predictive text come up. So those are the top questions that people are typing into Google to learn about your industry. So just start there and just keep on mining and banking, like data mining these questions. So you might start with how to lose weight, and then it might come up how to lose weight as a busy mom, how to lose weight when you after 5 kids, or how to integrate a healthier lifestyle, whatever. But you're looking for these questions. Those are the frequently asked questions, the predictive texts that are popping up in Google. That's what people are already asking the internet. So you say, hey, I got you. Let me write some content on this, whether it's a blog post, whether it's a social media post. But that's probably what people are already curious about. So that's one way to find those questions. So you can do basically the same thing that you did on Google on Pinterest, which is great because sometimes they have slightly different audiences or just a different algorithm that gives you more ideas. So on Pinterest, you can do the same thing. You type in, just start with an obvious question. And then underneath the search bar is going to give you, I can't remember the number, it's like 7 or something, but the other things that people are asking, the other things people are tacking on, basically the keywords that people are looking for in your topic. And so you can click onto those. It's going to give you a bunch of different content ideas, but then you also can just scroll down. Now, the one caveat here, well, in all of these, is that we really want to be careful not to copy. So I would really encourage you, because you can find inspiration everywhere. There's nothing new under the sun, right? Like I just find inspiration everywhere, but we really have to watch who we're copying versus just being inspired by. So when you see something that inspires you, I just want to challenge you not to click on it. Because as soon as you read it, you've got their content in your head, right? Or if you're going to read something, read a bunch of different things and then set it to the side, and then don't write your content for a while so that you can make sure that you're putting your spin on it, your take on it, and you're not stealing from someone else. But, as you're scrolling down Pinterest, you're going to see the things that are popular that people are reading and people are searching for. So just get inspired by those and say, okay, how can I put a spin on this? How can I answer this question for someone? Same with YouTube. So basically, I want you to use Google, Pinterest, and YouTube as the search engines as they are, but use it to reverse engineer your ideal client's voice. So just start typing in some of the basic questions and then just keep honing in and honing in and honing in at the questions that people are asking. And you know that they're asking it because it's the popular content that people are already creating for them. And then use that to be inspired to create your own content with your own spin.
I like that. That's really good. That's really good.
Then a couple of other places that you can keep kind of data mining these questions. Reddit. Go to a subreddit. Oh my goodness, every topic that there is out there, whether it is sleep training your baby, whether it is a picky toddler, whether it is dog training, gardening, whatever it is that you do or coach or sell, whether you make and sell baby products, get in a Reddit sub feed and just start looking at the questions people are asking, the topics they're talking about. And those are the things that your ideal client is asking.
So explain to our listeners who maybe aren't Reddit people, first off, what's Reddit? And then what's a subreddit? Just so they understand.
So that's a good question. I am not a Reddit expert. It is not a medium that I use a lot, but it basically is just a large conversation forum. It is just a forum website, basically a form of social media, but people just go there to talk. And a subreddit is a specific, like, niche down topic. So you can basically find a large scale conversation among a bunch of Reddit users on any topic that you're looking for, whatever it is. I love true crime. I go there all the time. All the time, just to talk about, like, or to, honestly, I don't even participate. I just read, but like, what cases, what new evidence popped up, stuff like that. I mean, there's everything under the sun. So whatever you do, somebody is talking about it on Reddit. Get in there and just listen.
Cool. That's awesome. Okay. So in case you don't know, Reddit is spelled Reddit. And go check it out. Okay. So what else do you have for us?
Okay, I got two more for you, two more places. And while you're doing this, just have go to that bank, whether it's the Evernote or the Google Doc, but just keep your running content list so that when you run out, you just go back and look at those questions. But just write down everything that comes to your mind. Okay. Facebook groups. Get in a Facebook group that pertains to your niche and where your ideal client is hanging out. Okay. So if you serve female entrepreneurs, it's going to be like mommy Facebook groups. It's going to be, local boss babes, local Rising Tide Society, all of these different ones. If you teach knitting or you make knitting patterns, your arts and your crafts and your DIYs and in those ones, but get in those and just start reading the questions. People are asking questions. People use Facebook groups, and we know this. This is where people are creating communities, where they're engaging in small community. It's where they're finding out information. These private, small communities are where people feel safe to ask the questions that they have about these topics. So get in there and listen to their questions and say, what are they asking that I can answer? You can use the search feature to search for specific things. So, if you know that there's a specific topic that you want to create content on, type that word and that keyword in that search feature, see the exact questions that come up and then answer them. But just getting in there and listening and figuring out what you can provide to the conversation is really helpful. And the last one, this one is not mine. I cannot take credit for it. There's a copywriter that I follow. Her name's Ashlyn Carter. Her business is Ashlyn Wright. She's brilliant. I have a giant girl crush on her, like stage 5 singer status. But I learned this from her. I can't remember where. It may have even been one of her webinars. But she does some client voice hacking and teaches her clients to do this and her students to go look in Amazon reviews.
Really?
Never would have occurred to me. So she gets credit for that, but I've done it for my clients, for myself, and it is crazy. So, okay, for example, let's say you are a lawyer.
Okay.
Get an Amazon and look up a book about family law that's written to, laymen, not for lawyers, and read the reviews. And you're going to hear people say things like, I used to think blank, but this book made me realize blank. Or I was really worried about this, but this book helped me understand this. And you start to listen to your audience's fears through their reviews. If you, I have a client who is an ADHD coach.
Okay.
We'll find a book that is on parenting an ADHD child or is on adult ADHD, and then read through the reviews. And you're going to hear the fears and the objections and the questions that people had before they read this book. And those are the same questions and fears that your ideal audience is asking.
Oh my gosh, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. That's
right?
Incredible.
Can't take credit for it, but I'm using it.
Wow. Okay, I got to try that. That's awesome. Okay, cool. So then what's next?
Okay, so if you got all that and you feel like you have enough content, you still don't. So let's just keep going. If you've done all that and you don't feel like you have enough content, this is where we really, really, really have to understand that what is easy for us, what we are good at, even if we worked hard to be good at it, right? Someone else does not have the capacity to be as good at it as we are. You could read all of the same marketing books and all of the same courses and webinars and podcasts as I do and still not come away with the skill set that I have. And so I understand that. So I understand that even if somebody is listening to the same material as I am, I still have something to offer and something to teach. And so just like our ideal customer client may not know what they don't know, we don't always know what we know. So we have to get in the habit of understanding every step of our process, our journey, and the knowledge that we have, and then teaching all of the little steps, because there is no step or no piece of information that is too small for your readers. Readers and audience is your readings. It's a new word.
I like it. I think you need to trademark.
Kind of like cool.
Yeah.
So we have to assume that they know nothing. So every time you say to yourself, oh, I was going to do that, but they already know that. Or I was going to say this, but I've already said it. Stop. Just stop and assume that you're dead wrong. So this is where we practice that listening skill again. By the time we listen to our own brain, our own zone of genius, and our own habits. So we need to be in the practice of taking notes, whether it's literally or mentally, every step of the way, and assume that someone else doesn't know it. So I'll give you some really practical examples. So if when I write my Instagram content, I automatically, every 2 to 3 sentences, put a break in my paragraph, right? We know that white space makes something readable. It makes something beautiful. It helps people stop scrolling. White space is our BFF on social media. But in Instagram, and I think that that's obvious because I do it every post. So I assume that somebody reading my captions is going to see it. They're going to know to do it, right? And I do it automatically. Like I don't even think about it anymore. And I also know that on Instagram doesn't recognize the enter button. So you can't just create that white space. So I plan all of my captions in a planner, and then I manually post on Instagram. That is how I plan my content. It's how I post my content all day, every day. It's so natural to me. But that is something that I have taught on or created content around multiple times. And every time I do it, blows someone's mind. Because they didn't hear it the first time, or they didn't stop and really like internalize it the first time, or they see me doing it, but they didn't know that that's what I was doing. If you're a food blogger and you want to promote your blog, sell a recipe book, sell a cooking course, you're not just teaching recipes. When you sit down I'm terrible at cooking. So like you could teach me every little thing about cooking and it would blow my mind. But when you go to chop a vegetable, literally like you're chopping onions, are you holding your knife in a certain way? Are you holding your hand in a certain way? Assume that I have no idea how to hold a knife, that I'm likely to cut off my fingers or have weirdly unevenly chopped onions. Just assume that and teach me how to do it. And if you can do that and all of a sudden my onions look like they just came out of Food Network, well, I'm coming back for more, right? Let's say like you sell skincare and you know the order that you use your products. You go thinnest to thickest or whatever, and you just use that automatically. You got to stop and say, hey, my audience has no idea how to use these products, how many to use, which ones they need, in what order. I need to be teaching them this. When you're putting on your super expensive night cream and you don't rub it all in your hands first, you dab it on your face and then rub it in so that you're saving product, that's natural to you. Somebody else has no idea. They're rubbing that stuff all over their arms before it gets to their face and they're wasting half the product. So you teach that and someone goes, oh, she's saving me money. You better believe I'm buying my next night cream from her, right?
That's funny. I never knew about the thinnest to thickest thing. I'm sorry, because I have all this like creams and lotions and things, and I like always confuse the order. You just gave me a tip. Okay.
Yeah, see, works. It's being aware of what comes naturally to us, and then assuming that no one else knows it, and then teaching that.
That is incredible. So those are your 3 steps. So just give us the 3 steps really quick as an overview.
Yeah. So you listen. You listen to your clients and your customers' questions, their fears, their objections, and you read between the lines when they don't really know what they're saying. You hack it. If you don't have the people to listen to yet, you just go searching on the internet. You get on those search engines, you get in those forums and those conversations, and you listen to the questions and the fears and objections that they have so that you can teach them back to them before they even ask you. And then the third is that you need to know what you know and understand that no step or piece of information is too small for your audience. So you break down everything that you do, all of the processes and the information and the journey and the knowledge that you have, and you teach every little step. And you have to be in that practice of knowing what you know so that you can teach it back to someone else.
Okay, so I got to tell you, my favorite one is the hack it part, because there's so much gold in there that I need to go check out some of those things. But then, like the third one of like teaching absolutely everything you know, sometimes I think it's just so basic. I'm like, by now, everybody should know this, but I tend to forget about maybe the newbies who are just, joining into my space and who don't know. And I think you can't assume that everybody already knows it and that you have to go totally advanced.
Yes, you have to assume, like you have to speak back into that. And the second your brain says they already know this, you have to say, no, they don't. I'm wrong. And we all know that people have to see something at least 7 times before they even like acknowledge it in their brain, and up to 21 times before they're even willing to make a purchasing decision. So maybe I've taught about that stupid little white space 3 times already, but that's something I should mention every quarter for those new people, for the people that heard it, because there's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of noise. And if somebody follows more than one marketing strategist or more than one copywriter, then they're hearing a bunch of different stuff. And I want to give them a chance to just say, oh, Brittany's really helping me when she's teaching me this stuff, because I heard this from her and I heard this from her and I heard this from her. And maybe they didn't hear it the first time, or maybe they didn't put it into action the first time. But I want to always be empowering my people, my readers and my audience to make these changes with the free information that I'm giving them, because I want them to know that I have their best interest in heart and at heart. And so, if I only say something once social media posts die. They just
Yes,
die.
they do. They do.
So you're always growing your readers, or maybe they are connecting with you deeper than they were before, and therefore, like, you're actually showing up in their newsfeed when you weren't before, and maybe your post died, or maybe they just didn't hear it the first time. But if you have something that's really resonated with your audience, and I will guarantee you, if you're looking at your metrics, the things that resonate the most are the smallest steps and the most tangible, actionable processes, like the simplest things. Every quarter, every other month, be teaching that in the same way, be teaching it in a new way. But if you think that they already know this, you're just wrong.
Yeah, that's so true. And like this is when repurposing becomes your BFF
Mhm.
content world. So
Exactly.
now that we have all this content, we know where to go and we're putting it together. How do we put it together? Like what's the next step?
Well, I have created a free gift for you guys that I think will really hopefully help you kind of put all this into practice. Because if you're driving or working out, I'm hoping you are taking notes. And if you were, it's still a lot, right? Like we said, you may not get everything the first time. So I've put together a workbook to help you walk through basically creating all these content prompts. And you'll find that the teaching comes really easily when you know exactly what you're saying. So if you know that you're specifically teaching on one small step of your process, that's going to come natural to you. Those words are going to flow easily. And then in this workbook, I'm going to give you some really tangible ideas of what kind of educational styles work best that actually help people retain information, like how to break down a piece of content, things like packaging it into a 3-part process, or A, B, and C, or bullet points, that kind of thing. But I think this workbook is really going to help you guys take these 3 different steps and break them down and turn it into actual content, because you can't just stop at this list, right? We have this list of the things that we want to teach, but we have to turn it into a content marketing plan. So that's your blog, YouTube, your email marketing, your social media. You're going to break down each little step, turn it into a piece of content, and then repurpose it, like we just said. I'll give you guys a really quick tip that this will be included in the workbook. But one thing that you should always include in every piece of content, it's really important, you speak to one and only one person in your content. So maybe you have a couple different ideal clients, or maybe you know that your ideal client might be in different places in the journey that you walk through with them. Don't speak to everyone at every place in the journey in one post or one blog post. I want you to write every single piece of information to one specific person, because that is how you're going to connect with that person. If you're writing it to every client at every part in the journey who might need all of your products or all of your services, then you are going to speak to absolutely no one. So that's one tip, is when you're writing or making your video with your educational content, make sure that you're speaking to one specific person, one specific version of your ideal client. And each piece of content should include one and only one call to action at the end. So that's not email me, call me, text me, or contact me through the website if you have more questions. It's not try this, but then try this, and then try this, and then try this. Tell them one thing to do with what you just taught them. That can help them put it into place. And I just want to encourage you guys to, we were worried about that kind of salesy, kind of getting that in that direction. I just want to encourage you to teach way more than you sell. We talk about sharing versus selling. I like to talk about serving in different ways, because I think that if we really have a product or a service that we believe in, even when we offer that in a way that we are looking them to make a purchasing decision, we're still serving them, right? Like, it's just a transactional service. That service requires them to give us a credit card or an email address. But I want 80% of your content to serve them in a way where no transaction is required. You are just saying, here are some actionable steps. Here are some quick wins. This is something that will empower you to utilize what I have to offer in a more full way. And then 20% of that time, you are teaching or serving in a way that does kind of require that transaction. But when you can teach 80% of the time and not require anything from them, your audience will be so much warmer and primed for that conversion when it is time to say, hey, let me offer this to you.
That's really good advice. And I like how you say that 80-20 rule. It's really important. And then that 20% of the time, even though you are selling, you're still, like, it's a softer sell. It's not as hard. Like, it's not as difficult to make that ask and for those people to actually receive it and do something with it.
Yeah, so because you built that trust. So
yeah. And
you're saying, no, let me help you.
Yep. And you've been in front of them long enough that they really know you at this point, and they know your personality. They know how you explain things, how you teach, all of that stuff. And they like you for that. So you've got the whole thing, the know, like, trust right there. And hopefully that does, I'm sure will convert to sales for sure after you go through that process. That was really good. Like, so much good information in there. Is there anything else that you wanted to leave the audience with?
Well, I'd love it if you guys wanted to join my community over at my Instagram, because I am always teaching things like this. I'm teaching a marketing strategy. I'm teaching how to master your social media, and I'm teaching you how to teach. So I'd love for you to come be a part of my community at Brittany McBean Social. And then I also want to make sure that you guys get your hands on this free gift, this workbook that I created specifically for your audience, Laura. I have not even launched this.
Wow.
To my audience yet. So I will launch this when the podcast airs. But if you want to get that workbook, and I know that you'll include it in the link in the show notes, but you can just go to Brittany McBean Social/teaching. That's it. BrittanyMcBeansocial.com/teaching. And that will be available for you to download.
Very cool. So I will definitely put that in the show notes. So we have that, and everybody can click over it, as well as the Instagram handle. I'll have that available. Thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate it. There's so much good information in this podcast.
Thanks. I've loved chatting with you, and you always ask such wonderful, insightful questions. And I love that you always have your listeners in mind, because the questions that you ask are usually the ones that they're asking. And I just think it helps all of us learn better.
Oh, thank you. Well, thanks again for being here, and we'll chat soon. Wow, this was an amazing episode. Brittany really delivered a ton of value and taught us some really good concepts and strategies when it comes to creating content. It's something we can all use. I mean, if you think about social media today, it is evolving, right? And so when social media evolves, so do we. We become better content creators just because of what social media demands from us. It's demanding us to provide more value and content that really just serves our audiences well. What we need to do following this episode is really take action. And that is go ahead and download the workbook that Brittany has prepared for us, work through it, but keep in mind the type of content you need to be delivering. And I have a feeling that if you follow Brittany's strategies, you're going to see the content that comes out of you following this episode is going to evolve, and the rewards are going to be more engagement, more followers, more leads, more of everything because of the quality content you're putting out there. So that is my challenge to you. I hope to see you on the socials. I'd love to hear your comments about this episode and how it has helped you in developing content for your business. Hey there, I just want to say thank you for spending time with me here today. I know your time is super valuable, which is why I am dedicated to providing lots of usable, actionable information in the shortest amount of time possible. Before you go, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a future episode. And if you have ideas or topics you would like me to cover in an upcoming show, let me know about it in the comment section provided.